listen to that voice inside you that whispers compassion, that urges you to yield your needs for another's sake, that convinces you that kindness is your salvation. Yet beneath this seemingly noble impulse lurks a fatal vulnerability. Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises." But alas, the good man, the kind man, he is scorned. You, the kind man, believe your gentle words and acts of mercy will earn you respect. You believe they will cement your place in a world that venerates pain, conflict, and dominance. Yet the truth sits heavy on your chest. Kind men are not respected. They are replaced. This is not a comforting introduction. There is no sugarcoating here. You will confront the raw marrow of Nietzsche's will, to power the dark echo of Carl Jung's insights into human archetypes and Kierkegaard's unrelenting scrutiny of truth and selfhood. Each will guide you as I tear away illusions. Your kindness, instead of uplifting you, renders you transient and disposable. The world does not honor soft hearts. It devours them. Your presumed safety, your belief that kindness secures loyalty, dissolves when the tides of power shift. The first rule unfolds in modern society. Kindness is mistaken for weakness. The second truth follows gratitude alone, cannot tether others to you. They will slip away, leaving you barren. Finally, the final rule demands you accept that only those who refuse to yield, those who exercise a cold unwavering, will endure. Do not mistake this introduction for an academic lecture. Feel its sting. Let it batter your self-deceptions. I speak to you directly, you, to strip away every buffer between this brutal reality and your conscience. You are about to face a choice: maintain the illusion that kindness saves you, or recognize that to survive with any measure of lasting influence, you must walk alone, shedding delusions that offered false comfort. You wake up each morning convinced that your compassion endears you to others. You believe that if you gently empathize, if you forgive indiscriminately, if you offer your shoulder to cry on, people will hold you dear. But Nietzsche whispers in your ear, what is good? Everything that heightens the feeling of power in man, the will to power itself. What is bad? Everything that arises from weakness. Your kindness, then, is not just a benign trait. It is a confession of inadequacy. It signals to the world you lack the ruthless drive to seize your own destiny. You labor under illusions of reciprocity. You give, you sacrifice, you coddle. You expect others to pay you in kind. Yet the world regards your kindness as an invitation to exploit, to push boundaries, to leapfrog your gentle nature. In a society that venerates strength, political, economic, psychological, your selflessness is perceived as an invitation to dominate. When you refuse to fight, you forfeit respect. You may think compassion wins hearts. In reality, it broadcasts vulnerability. Carl Jung helps here. In his archetypal psychology, he labels the hero and the shadow. The hero, what you hope to be, is endowed with courage, assertiveness, creative force. The shadow, what you unconsciously become when you suppress your drive, is the passive, self-sacrificing self buried beneath fear. You parade your kindness, but beneath it simmers resentment and self-loathing for measures you will never take. You cloak your true desires to avoid conflict. Yet conflict is the crucible of respect. If you cannot endure confrontation, you cannot stand in the arena when power shifts. Imagine you hold a position of leadership. You resolve disputes by listening, by extending mercy to those who undercut you politically. You think you're noble. But others see this as soft. They whisper, he's too lenient. He won't protect his interests. His kindness becomes your liability. In the next power struggle, someone emerges, someone willing to crush you to take your place. Nietzsche's will to power is not about cruelty per se. It is the insistence on asserting your own strength. He argued one must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Your internal chaos, ambition, rage, hunger for assertion cannot be ignored. If you refuse to embrace it, you remain trapped in a pitiable half-existence. Your parents perhaps praised your gentle spirit. Your school recognized you as the peacemaker. But in the marketplace of respect, the peacemaker is interchangeable. Leaders who show decisive cruelty instill fear, and fear begets obedience. The world claps for the predator, not the pacifist. Kierkegaard might chide you for inauthenticity. The greatest danger to truth lies in those who have a comfortable halo of self-righteousness. You comfort yourself in your moral high ground. But we both know it's only high until someone climbs on your shoulders and uses it as their ladder. Therefore, the first rule, kindness, is synonymous with weakness. Not a literal physical weakness, but an existential one, a surrender of power. Every act of mercy, every refusal to assert your boundaries, chips away at your authority. Others sense this. They sense that you will not fight back. They will treat you as a placeholder for a more formidable presence. And so you must ask, do you have the stomach to abandon kindness when necessary? Do you grasp that compassion is a luxury reserved for the victors, the strong? If not, you set yourself on a path toward replacement. You've told yourself, if I show gratitude, they will remain loyal. You buy gifts, you compose heartfelt messages, you guide friends to safety, even to the point of putting their welfare above your own. Yet Jung reminds you, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. When times are good, they applaud your generosity. But the moment circumstances become challenging, financial downturn, romantic discord, political upheaval, they seek someone who they believe can remove the threat. That someone is not you. That someone is the new face, the cold operator who promises results. The second truth deconstructs the myth of reciprocity. You believe that your kindness sows seeds of loyalty. In truth, you plant a fragile reed. When storms rage, reeds snap. The world you inhabit is not built on gratitude, but on utility. You serve a purpose to them. You're the good listener, the empathetic ally, the caretaker. Once they extract every ounce of your goodwill, once they are confident, you will bend any rule to protect them. They view your presence as redundant. They outgrow you. They cast aside the empath and usher in the strategist who promises survival. Kierkegaard would call this existential betrayal. You thought relationships were rooted in authentic connection, but they were transactional from the start. He wrote, marry, and you will regret it. Don't marry, you will also regret it. Similarly, your kindness walks you into a trap. You both attract deep connection and cultivate deep expectations. They expect you to endure their faults, to excuse their failings, to endure their disloyalties. And yet, when they tire of your soft shoulder, they swap you for the iron frame, someone who will stand unflinching against adversity. Consider a workplace scenario you cover for colleagues. Stay late to help them finish tasks consistently. Offer mentorship without demanding credit. They praise you. They thank you. They assure you they are in your debt. But when management downsizes, who do they protect? They protect the person whose metrics exceed targets, who negotiates aggressively with clients, who flashes his willingness to push boundaries. They leave you behind. You embodied gratitude, and gratitude isn't enough to immunize you against replacement. Jung's concept of individuation demands that you integrate both light and shadow. Yet you refuse to integrate your shadow, the part that exacts retribution, that asserts boundaries. You stoke your gentle self relentlessly. Yet that gentle self is a one-dimensional actor in a multi-dimensional drama. When gratitude vanishes, you're left naked, exposed. And the world, hungry for potency and control, sweeps you aside effortlessly. The second truth stands. Stark gratitude is not a life jacket in a sea of ruthless competition. It's a life buoy that deflates the moment you depend on it. When you believe kindness alone shields you, you forego the sword of self-assertion. You grant others permission to exploit you. and you will be replaced quieter, gentler hands folded, while stronger, colder hands take control. Now you stare into the abyss of possibility. Perhaps I must harden myself, relinquish this altruistic posture. Nietzsche's chilling clarity cuts through your equivocations. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. But he did not mean you preserve your kindness, holding it like a sacred banner while others trample it. He meant you must master your darkness so that darkness empowers you, not consumes you. The final rule proclaims only those who refuse to be manipulated, who cling to power over sentiment, endure in a world that worships dominance. You must cultivate a will that does not flinch before unpleasant choices. You must internalize the mantra, mercy only when it serves your purpose. Kindness only when it furthers your objectives. Anything less, and you remain vulnerable, a vacant throne for the next contender. Kierkegaard's leap of faith is instructive here. True authenticity requires you to embrace anxiety and choose yourself over comforting illusions. You must leap from the soft cocoon of empathy into the icy winds of self-preservation. Jung would agree, without wrestling your shadow, without acknowledging your capacity for cruelty, you cannot wield true psychological power. You have tiptoed around your darker impulses, stifled them with guilt. Now it's time to integrate them. Only then can you present a unified self, one who opposes exploitation actively, rather than lamenting it passively. Picture yourself in a negotiation you used to concede to maintain rapport. You would sacrifice key points because compromise felt morally sound. Now you clamp down. You extract every concession until the other side trembles. They respect you now, or at least fear you. They do not replace you. In friendship, you set boundaries. You make demands of respect. No longer do you permit disparagement veiled as friendly banter. They still want you around because you yield a force they cannot ignore. But tread carefully. If you embrace the final rule, you court the risk of dehumanization. Nietzsche warned of the abyss. Whoever fights monsters? Yes, you must harness the ferocity of the lion and the cunning of the serpent. But do not let this ferocity eclipse your humanity. The goal is not to become a tyrant unless that is your chosen path. Instead, let it be a calibrated strength. A kindler, gentler you is dead weight in a world that prizes power. A purely power-hungry you may stand unchallenged, but your existence becomes barren. So strike a balance. Cultivate a measured ruthlessness, guided by self-awareness. In the crucible of life, there is no neutral ground. Either you ascend by enforcing your will, or you dissolve in irrelevance. Your kindness cannot be an end in itself. It must be a tactic wielded with discretion. Use empathy to learn your opponent's vulnerabilities, then exploit them. Let your compassion be a tool, not your guiding star. That star is the will to power and expression, not of brute force, but of disciplined self-assertion. You stand at a crossroads. On one path you cling to your kindness, refusing to regard it as liability. You believe if you remain good-hearted, you will be rewarded with genuine connections. But the world you know is not a utopian stage. It is an unforgiving arena. Stay on this path, and you will be replaced. Your seat, your influence, your significance, usurped by someone more ruthless. On the other path, you embrace the final rule. You acknowledge that unconditional kindness is a trap, and that only the unforgiving endure. You integrate your shadow, your hunger for power, your capacity for calculated cruelty into a purposeful force. This forces you into solitude. True self-assertion means severing the entanglements that kindness once wove around you. You become an island anchored only by your inner will. Others may praise you, but they also fear you. They will not replace you, for they know any challenge will exact a steep price. Now choose. Walk alone, forging your own path through the darkness, weaponizing compassion when it serves you, but never hinging your survival upon it, or die slowly in the illusion that kindness alone will suffice watching, as each place you once held is filled by someone prepared to take it. Remember Nietzsche's warning. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. Do not let groupthink of kindness always prevails, lure you to your undoing. Protect yourself. Prioritize your will to power, tempered by self-awareness, so that you do not become the very monster you fight. The choice is yours. Ascend as the architect of your own destiny, standing unyielding in solitude, or surrender to the comforting lie that kindness is all you need, only to be toppled, replaced, and forgotten. Walk alone or die in illusion.